All right, welcome to another Thursday night. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Good turnout tonight. All right, I'm drawn to go back on old principles. In spite of anything, in some ways I want to say erase the last 2 years in your mind. I want to teach you what is health. What is health? So Bagua Zhang is a martial art. A lot of people think punching, kicking, throwing, locking. And they just think of the fighting martial art. But Bagua includes everything from medical to philosophy, divination, like seers use, fortune tellers use it, martial arts use it, not just Bagua Zhang, other martial arts have used the concept of the I Ching, all the angles and direction. Bagua really adds the circle, but it includes all the others as well. And applied into the body. So in addition to my Chinese medical training, my Bagua training was profound in its understanding and teachings for health and how to keep the body healthy and strong. And then that translates into very practical living. So Bagua Zhang is known as a Taoist art. The I Ching is a Taoist book, considered a Taoist book. It's just ancient times observing nature in the best way possible, everything from nature in the natural world, animals, trees, bugs, to people's nature, what's naturally occurring in people as well. And well, let me start with circulation. So, well, anyone knows this word, qi? Yes. So people think it means energy. It's actually more like how the body's working, how the body's functioning. It's also, in the room, it's invisible, but if it wasn't here, the room would look exactly the same and we'd all be passed out on the floor. And we know now oxygen is pretty important. So you can be in a room without oxygen, you can't live. So there's an invisible life force. Food, you can get fast food, you can get highly processed food, you can get fresh from a farm, fresh killed meat, things like that, very fresh. Wild edibles. You eat wild edibles, you eat a lot less. Why? More qi. Qi is nutrients. So, how does it circulate? Through the blood. Qi in blood has to reach every single cell in the body. I don't know why this camera keeps going blurry. Hello?
It could be on autofocus.
Well, it's auto unfocus.
When every time you get out, change the focus.
Hello? How did it get focused before? Just random? Come on. Come on. Any idea?
I usually put my hand in front of it, let it settle.
Oh. Well, what is it focusing on? I'm moving. Why is it? Good now. Where was I? Okay. Qi in blood. Oxygen and nutrients traveling through the blood. That blood has to reach every part of the body. So now picture a tree, big trunk, and it branches off And every one of these branches gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually, what? You get down to the smallest component, cells. Every cell has to breathe. Every cell has to eat. And every cell has to basically go to the bathroom. It needs to eliminate waste. When that doesn't happen, we have a problem. And what's the problem? Okay, picture this is a neighborhood and the supply chain is broken and they can't get food. Do you think the people are going to have a problem? You think they might get a little irritable, angry with each other and start looking for who they can steal from maybe to survive? Maybe at some point they're actually their own pets, right? I mean, this has happened in history. So it's sick. The same thing can be said for much of the history of diseases. You are looking at communities who came together and did not have what we have now. We consider, everybody has electricity, everybody has refrigeration. You can keep things cold, you can keep them longer. But foods would go rotten faster. Okay? Farms were not necessarily nearby. Food was not necessarily nearby. They would be living on things like bread, which is not really a food full of chi. It's an inflammatory food, actually. A lot of people know that today. So a lot of illnesses, why was there illnesses? People were malnourished. You also had no sanitation, poor sanitation. In addition to weakness from malnutrition, you also have an abundance of like sewage, basically. What other way can I say it? Horses pooping in the street and getting all over everything. That's another way. So it can become more toxic, and then you have a weak body on top of it. But that toxicity there from poop would not bother a body that's not weak. In other words, that comes first. The body strength first. So I learned long ago, more than 20 years, one of the theories, not theory, this is bacteria feeds on degenerative tissue. Okay? Bacteria, my teacher would say bacteria has a party. Okay? When a cell gets sick, it kicks out poisons. That's also what I said, it has to go to the bathroom, it has to eliminate waste. When a cell gets toxic, when a cell gets poisoned, and today there are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands more chemicals in our environment. So the cell gets sick. If it's malnourished, poisons can enter the cell, and the cell's going to kick it out. The cell's going to kick it out. And you've got these little particles. You look under a microscope, you might give it another name. One thing my teacher said about a virus is it's a solvent, like a janitor cleans up. Another one, it's like it's nothing more than an exosome. It's something that was kicked out of the cell, these tiny things. And then your body cleans it up, gets rid of it. So when you get a bunch of cells with these little things, it just means you have a lot of sick cells. Toxic. So we have poor nutrition. We have increased poisons. So nutrition's obvious. If you're eating nothing but processed foods, there's no chi, no nutrients. You're filling your body with empty calories. Your body doesn't have what it needs. It's going to get sick. You have poisons. And we don't just have physical poisons like metals, toxic metals in the air, in the food, in the water, in our clothes. We put clothes on, there's been chemicals to prepare that. You go to a dry cleaner, there's chemicals in that. You put lotion on, there's chemicals in that, and they're all carcinogen, they're all cancer causing. So there's poisons in the body. The cell gets sick. Injections, another way poisons can get in. So breathing, eating, exposure on the skin, injections, enters right into the bloodstream, right? Many poisons. And so now it's like you have sick neighborhoods. More poison, more sick, more problems. So what are we going to do? Rule number one in nutrition. Eat real food. Real food has chi. Real food has nutrients. Anything that's been prepared by someone else, you don't know what's in it. And if you look on anything in a bottle or a bag or a can, the box, look at the size of the ingredients. There's so many things in there, you don't even know what it is. And they are capable, I've seen in the lab, where they have these little vials, and it's like, oh, you want barbecue? And they just squeeze the drops of barbecue flavor from chemicals. Nothing barbecue in it, it's completely chemical made, mimicking flavor. So all of our prepared foods, all your condiments, all the things you put in jars, you put on your hamburgers, or you put on your, what? I don't want to name any brands or anything, but think anything with those ingredients. Real food is always one ingredient. An egg is real food. A steak is real food. A cabbage is real food. One ingredient. And then you put the seasonings, you put the herbs, you put what's additional to that. Anything else, you don't know what it is, and you don't realize what it's doing to your cells, how it can make you sick. Another one, how does your cell phone work? So we're exposed constantly in the air to radiation, electrical, fluorescent lights. I mentioned the cell, your cellular service. This is all in the air, it's invisible, but your body feels it. And many people will get sick from it, and many will not. This is a book completely consistent talking about this. Very good book, Invisible Rainbow. Get that book. You heard of that book? Yeah. You actually read that book, it'll change your whole perspective of everything. But this is what I'm talking about. This was more than 20 years ago in this. So I have a different perspective today, okay? Nothing's changed. I don't have to say anything. I just want you to understand. What would a hunter-gatherer eat? Also, fishermen. So they fished or they hunted. Go back 10,000 plus years. This is Bagua. I'm not talking martial art. I'm talking Bagua, philosophy. In the ancient, the Yellow Emperor's classic of medicine, thousands of years old, the basis of Chinese medicine, the teacher-student conversation, the students asking what makes people sick. This is 5,000 years ago, however many years. And he said, in ancient times, men were fathering children over 100 years old, etc., etc. There was no sickness. Why? Because they lived in accordance with Tao, nature. They lived in accordance with nature. And so they lived much longer without sickness. And this was written thousands of years ago, something like 5,000 years. Talking about the ancient people. Yeah, because already agriculture. Now, yes, we fed more people in villages, but we also led to more diseases. So your belly's full, but more people sick. Because we got further and further away from nature, and we're further away today than ever before. And the virtual reality is the example of you can't get any further from nature. Now you're living in a made-up digital universe. not even real, the Matrix. So the more food is processed, the less real it is. Literally, meat can be eaten from cold cuts, hot dogs, bologna, pepperoni, all this stuff, burnt black barbecue, well done to the extreme, all that. That is carcinogen. Processed protein is carcinogen. It causes cancer. Other end of the spectrum, what's the most natural? People may not like to hear this, but I'm telling you, raw, completely raw. And then I just say, as raw as you can, as rare as you can bear. Eat as rare as you can bear, meat, have the least amount of processing possible in your food, and you will get closest to real food, and your cells will not get sick. They'll be happy. So people are so afraid of microbes. Microbes can never hurt you when you're healthy. Microbes hurt you when your body's already sick. They're cleaning up. They're the cleanup crew. They're like the shellfish in the ocean. They're like the maggots on the deer that got killed by a car. Maggots didn't kill the deer, but they'll clean it to the bone. You can get a leech. Think of parasites. Parasites feed on broken down sick tissue. You can put a leech on a wound, it'll clean that wound better than any surgeon can. And it'll stop when it gets to the fresh flesh, healthy flesh. Parasites do the exact same thing. Bacteria does the exact same thing. We've been on this planet for millions of years. Symbiotic relationship. This is not a war. That's a mistake. Now, how do we stay healthy? What makes this circulation? So one, you have to have chi, okay? Obviously, fresh air. Fresh air and the ability to breathe out so you can get rid of toxins, because you get rid of toxins when you exhale. And you breathe in fresh air. Have to have them. Fresh, clean water. Not chlorinated, not fluoridated, fluoride and everything else that's in there. Medicines are found in there now. Fresh, clean spring water. Ideally would be from a spring, literally, where it came out of the earth. That would be the best water. And if you can get some kind of a filter system that recreates the spring, that would be the best. That's what I have. I have a whole home filter, so all the water's clean. And then I have one especially for drinking that adds extra things back. It's like the water traveling through the earth and hitting all the minerals, gathering minerals and all these little, what it would naturally through moving through rocks and everything, it's going to pick up. So it's all these little rocks and sand that moves through to purify further. And also to make the water more, more natural, like a spring. Fresh air, fresh water, fresh, clean, nutrient-dense food. You'll never get fat if you're eating this way because the body will be satisfied. The reason why people overeat is because the food is empty and they just keep eating because they're never satisfied. And you always want snacks and everything because your cells are calling out. We need more supplies. We need more nutrients. They're starving. So you keep eating crap to fill your stomach. We don't get hungry because the stomach's empty. We get hungry because the cells need nutrition. When you eat right, you can go many hours without food. No problem at all. You don't get irritable. You don't get weak. You don't get dizzy. You don't, your brain fog. And none of that happens when you eat right. No problem. I'll go till 2, 3 in the afternoon. No problem. For whatever reason, I need to or want to for that day, just feel like it sometimes. Which is another thing. If you're feeling under the weather, stopping eating is one of the smartest things you can do. Because that takes energy to digest. That's why you would lose your taste and your smell, because your body wants to get rid of your appetite. You don't really feel hungry because it's going through a detoxification, because that's what happens when we get colds and flus. The body is detoxifying what it needs to do. This is what it needs to do. This is natural. You don't need something to stop that. You need the body to allow to do that, because if you keep stopping that, you end up with something like cancer. Just like the sun creating cancer and put sunblock. What's in the sunblock? Go look up those chemicals. The skin cancer is coming from the lotions. We need the sun. How many people have vitamin D deficiency? So we need the chi, and it needs to travel through the blood, and it needs to meet every single cell. As I said, every cell needs to eat, breathe, eliminate waste. If any of that doesn't happen, they get sick. Any of it. Not enough oxygen, sick. Not enough food, nutrients, sick. Not enough getting rid. I mean, could you imagine if you couldn't go to the bathroom? There's people who don't. You're supposed to go a couple times, 2-3 times a day. Some people go twice a week. Some people go once a week. I've met one person once a month. And what they found in there eventually, I don't want to talk about. How sick was she? Think about that. How sick would you be if you never took out the garbage? Nobody ever picked it up. What would the smell be like? Putrid, it would be rotting, it would be disgusting. Think about it, right? That can happen at the cellular level. So we need the blood flow. And one of the best ways, there's 2 things now Bagua helps you with here. Okay, invisible rainbow, eat real food, let's move on. You have a circulatory system. And you have a lymphatic system. You want to talk about an immune system? This is the real one. Not all the cellular stuff you hear. This one, when the cell basically vomits, it goes into the lymphatic system to bring it to the circulatory system to get it out of the body. If that doesn't happen, if this isn't working, your body's getting poisoned. Both improved, and this one only works with movement. Old Master Park teachings of over 600 muscles, over 200, he'd say 360, whatever, joints. The more, everywhere in the body is cells. The more muscles, the more joints, the more circulation. In other words, if all you do is walk for exercise, how many muscles are you using? It's very limited. Do you have an exercise that moves all 200 plus joints? Some joints are not movable, but movable joints. I mean, there's joints in the skull, okay? And the skull does expand and contract. So the secret is here. What exercise moves this many joints through a full range of motion, which would then be working the muscles, tendons, ligaments connecting bone to bone, tendons connecting muscle to bone. If you move the joint, all of that's affected. And the way to move is through the nervous system. You have to have a functioning nervous system. It's how your brain and your body talk to each other. Anything wrong with the nervous system, you don't have any communication. You cut down communication, you can lose everything. What's one of the first things they want to do in war? Knock out communication. You knock out communication in your body's going to just get sicker and sicker. That part of your body is going to be a big problem. Whatever's cut off. So move every area of the body. Think your fingers, your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, rib cage, waist, hips. I mean, how many things? Your spinal column. How many things? That's why Bagua Qigong was designed to move this. the principles in movement in the joints. This part of the body moves, muscles, tendons, ligaments, nerves, all affected, plus automatically blood flows there. You'll do this a few times, your hand will start to get more blood flow right away, okay? But you've got the heart and muscle contractions and everything else moving the blood, but the lymphatic system only moves with movement. Movement squeezes the lymph to put it through the system. Lymph carrying poisons and toxins. So if that's not happening, guess what? Well, tumors, cancer, and who knows what else. Sick neighborhoods within your body at the microscopic level. Sick neighborhoods that need what? Well, if it's sugar, you're going to get fungus. Degenerative tissue, you're going to get bacteria. Degenerative tissue can also have parasites at another level. And what's called a virus is actually just these exosomes. This is just puking out, or it's a solvent to dissolve what's sick, broken down. So if you're practicing Bagua Qigong here, and you're eating real food and you're breathing fresh air, best you can, consider all considered. If you live near a city, what are you going to do with the air? I don't know. Get air filters in your home at least. Yeah, let me address that real quick. Air. So the air is naturally going to be cleaner and more full of oxygen early in the morning before sunrise. So that's why doing breathing exercises before sunrise, half hour before sunrise to a half hour after, when everything's quiet, everything's settled, the trees gave off the oxygen. Daytime, they absorb oxygen. Nighttime, they give off oxygen. So you're going to have oxygen more to breathe in the morning, and then through the day, the trees shift. They give out carbon dioxide. When we give out carbon dioxide, they take in carbon dioxide. So it shifts. They create the oxygen early in the morning, it's settled. You don't have all the pollution kicking up. You're going to get more what? Chi. Live near the ocean, you get even more chi, including the ions in the air automatically from the moving water. You live in the mountains, you're going to get more ions, you're going to get more chi, energizing the body, helping the body function more properly. So, fresh air, fresh water from the spring I talked about. Movement. The food is as natural as possible. What else? Oh, you need rest. What if you're not sleeping enough? Somewhere around 90, 95%, 96%, I don't know the exact number, of the rebuilding process in your body, the healing process, the fixing this stuff, all what's wrong in the body, the regeneration happens when you're in a deep sleep. Now, what if you never get to a deep sleep? This is what happens. You're going to get more cells, more toxic, because they can't fix themselves. So the normal processes cannot keep up. The only time in my life, and I don't care if my wife is next to me sneezing, coughing, everything, I'll kiss her, I'll hug her, I'll never have a problem. It's just a fact. Never in once have I gotten sick. And I can tell you, you read that book I showed you, it tells you the studies that were done. Never once could they take the mucus from a sick person and put it in a healthy person and make that person sick. Never once. Never once. They tried many ways. They did it with people, they did it with animals. Never once could that happen. It's an impossibility. Period. But have I had colds and flus? Absolutely. Never because someone else was sick. You'll never hear those words come out of my mouth for more than 20 years. And never tell you I caught it. Because I know it's coming from inside. I know I didn't sleep enough. Maybe I've always been pretty energetic, so I'd stay up too late. I get, doing this, doing that, get up too early, because I always could get up early, no matter what time I go to bed, I'll still get up early. It's just I'm a morning person. And so you do that a few days, now a cold or flu will come. So you don't want a cold or a flu. Make sure you get enough sleep. because then your body will keep up with this stuff. It'll keep up with taking out the garbage. Fresh water, fresh air, do your breathing, do your qigong, move. So your lymphatic system, this kicks it out. What if this gets stuck here? Well, your body can make a tumor because that's also another way to save itself. Oh, let's put all this garbage here because nobody's coming to pick it up. Let's just put it all in one big pile. That becomes a tumor. How simple to explain. Lymphatic system's working, it moves. I have treated people, women with PCOS, cysts and fibroids, and I have seen through Chinese medicine, because Chinese medicine has a way using needles, the acupuncture can use the nervous system to tell the brain where to send more blood flow, to relax an area and send more blood flow, and it will clear that out, and cysts and fibroids will clear. Because the pile of garbage now has a garbage man coming in to clear it out. Because the increased circulation, this stuff starts working. Herbs have another way of functioning that way as well. Increasing glandular contractions and areas of the body. Certain herbs have affinity to certain parts of the body and can also affect this and clear a problem. This is the key, toxicity. You're toxic, you're sick. You're sick, you need garbage men coming in, you need janitors coming in, you need the cleanup crew, the cleaning lady, and all these things that are seen under a microscope. You have all the tools to stay safe, to stay healthy. This will never change. This is ancient knowledge. It can never change, and no one can ever fool you, period. Any questions? It's important for me to say this has been more than between 20 and 25 years. I've studied this, lived this, and I've seen nothing but confirmation. You live this way, you trust this way, you don't have any fears today. But you have to do what I'm talking about. It's like a person dying of cancer, not getting treated, but doing everything the same. The body's that sick for a reason. It'll take you out. You have to change. You have to get closer to natural laws. You have to practice Bagua. And I actually mean including Bagua Qigong, because Bagua Qigong is specific. It uses these principles. But practicing Bagua, fresh water, fresh air, breathing properly. So I talk about breathing fresh air, but also how do you take it in? If you're breathing this way, first of all, I'm using my mouth. Second of all, I'm using the top part of my lungs. Let's review for those who haven't heard it in a while, and maybe somebody watching the video. 2 lungs. You've got 2 parts and 3 parts. Yeah, other way around, depending which way you're facing. Obviously, the side with the heart has 2 parts, the other side has 3 parts. So if we're looking at the person this way, okay? If you only breathe here, what happened to all this? You can get about 5 times the breath just by breathing properly. And most of the cells in the lungs for respiration, the alveoli, these cells are mostly down here. That's why it's 5 or 6 times the volume. Completely different. So how does that breathing work? First of all, you use your nose. Second of all, you use your belly. If you breathe through the nose and the belly comes out, this is pushing down on a diaphragm. which is affecting your liver, your spleen, your stomach, your intestines, etc., etc. Just breathing properly can help your constipation, because every breath is a massage. Every breath also helps your circulation because it's pressing on the big vessels behind there. So you're breathing and expanding, it puts pressure here. That's why you're going to feel it move to your hands and feet when you breathe properly. Your hands and feet will get warm. Why are your hands and feet cold? You don't have the answer to that, and you're a student here, you need to review. Breathing properly. Use the nose, massage the organs, increase the blood flow. Automatically, the extremities will get chi and blood, because if they're not getting chi and blood, anybody heard of RA? Ever heard of all the different arthritis, hands, all this stuff, because of decades of sick cells, decades of this in your extremities. Degenerates, creates inflammation. I didn't even mention that. People blame inflammation for everything. Yeah, everybody's on fire because they're irritable and suffering, and it's like everything gets again toxic, and then it's inflamed. Inflammation is your body trying to fix something. Inflammation is not bad. You need inflammation to heal. Problem is when it's too much broken down, too much inflammation, that whole area, you might as well throw acid on it. It's destroying it. And so now you have all these bony changes because of constant inflammation. So Raynaud's, RA, arthritis, the other regular osteoarthritis, even because even repetitive movement, if you don't have good fluids in there, then you're rubbing. And this creates more inflammation, which breaks down more tissue. Literally, thousands of years ago, they already knew how to be healthy. Remember, Yellow Emperor's classic, teacher and student talking, student asking why the ancient people didn't have this problem, that problem, and the other problem. They already knew. Closer to nature. The whole point of Bagua Zhang and Bagua Chico, closer to nature, what works naturally. And just a word about the Zhang, the martial, the fighting aspect. The body has specific structural alignments to be strong. You fight against that, like earlier we were talking about, people know in martial arts, the unbendable arm. It's just physics. You hold your arm the right way with the right intention, you can't bend the arm. Someone can hang on it, they can't bend it. Someone tries to attack you, they won't bend your arm. Your arm goes here, it gets weak. That's a natural principle too. How structure works, how to hold the body like an archway. You know, you have an archway, right? You have the keystone, and they can build all kinds of stuff. This will hold it. This is a natural law. Very, very powerful. Put that in the body. How do you create that for a martial situation when an attack tries to come in? So that's why when I think of Bagua, people think, oh, you have to have all this coiling and circle walking. And yeah, we have that. And that has reasons too based on nature. But really, when I say Bagua, I mean natural law. What is natural law? So when I have conversations with maybe other martial artists or people in the health field, whatever, and I say, oh, that's Bagua. Because in my brain, I mean that's natural law. When you're following natural principles. Everything I'm teaching here is natural laws, natural principles. People want to argue with this, they can all they want. I'll challenge any scientist anywhere to prove anything I said here is false. Why would they bother? It's impossible. And I know because I've read a lot of the science claims people make about things. It's simple, but not easy. Because this takes an effort. It takes an effort to make sure your home, it's an expense too, your home has only the best water. It takes an effort to get up early before everything else and get out and get the fresh air. And it definitely takes an effort beyond running and going to the gym, playing music and everything, to actually go into like a meditative state, doing moving meditation and practicing these kind of movements with a purpose, not just to sweat, not just to get your pulse rate up, to actually intentionally reach every cell with a purpose, to make sure you get to bed at a certain time. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is the most important time to get down into a deep sleep, because moving with nature, the sun's going to be rising. We want to be rising with the sun. The only thing missing here is the other kind of exercise, the vigorous exercise, fast exercise. You know, what I talked to the youth program, the kids today, I gave a little speech about adversity. And I said the old quote, the stronger the wind, the stronger the trees. The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees. I think that came from Marriott. Yeah. Why that? Meaning a tree in perfect, every day 72, no breeze, no beautiful sun, you know, everything perfect. That wood's useless, very weak. But a tree that grew in an area where there's constant winds and storms and it's fighting for its life, that tree's got very strong roots, very strong trunk, and it'll make very strong wood to build things with. Because it's been challenged. So this practice, for you to get out in the morning, to do your exercise, it's creating your own adversity. It's doing something that isn't so easy. Creating adversity so your body gets stronger. Your circulation improves because you're challenging your body and stuff. So that's why there's also the vigorous, you know, jumping, squatting low, making the body work hard so that it grows rather than going down. Because you literally are either growing or dying every day. And we can't beat entropy, we can't beat Father Time, but the question is, can you, instead of going down this way, can you go down gradually? The more you apply these natural laws, the more older age will be okay. Still have it. Let's go to meditation.